Karen's obsession with control had now escalated to outright destruction. She had burned my residence to the ground, convinced that she could force compliance and assert her imagined authority. She had assumed that fear, chaos, and devastation would bend reality to her will. What she didn't anticipate was that her audacity had set in motion consequences far beyond her imagination, and that her reckless actions would be her undoing. The morning after the fire, the neighborhood was buzzing with shock and confusion. Smoke still lingered over the charred remains of my property, a stark testament to Karen's desperation and entitlement. She expected that her act of destruction would intimidate me, render me powerless, and reinforce her self-perceived dominance. But she had seriously miscalculated. I was prepared, resilient, and already documenting everything with meticulous precision. Every step she took, every escalation, and every claim she had made was recorded, time-stamped, and ready to serve as evidence against her. When she arrived at the site, perhaps expecting compliance or fear, she was met with calm authority and resolve. I had not only survived the destruction of my residence but had already initiated legal processes, insurance documentation, and community engagement to protect my rights. Her plan to instill fear and assert dominance was crumbling, not through confrontation, but through preparation, strategy, and legal knowledge. Karen's face betrayed disbelief and frustration. She had assumed that destruction and chaos would be sufficient to manipulate reality, but she had overlooked one crucial factor. Her actions left a permanent, irrefutable trail. Evidence of her arson, her escalation, and her reckless overreach was now undeniable, not just to me, but to neighbors, authorities, and the HOA itself. Her previous assumptions about power and intimidation were dissolving before her eyes. As she tried to assert herself, claiming authority and attempting to rationalize her actions, I calmly countered with facts, documentation, and legal precedent. Every argument she attempted was systematically dismantled. Her reputation, once inflated by fear and perceived authority, was now collapsing in real time. The community began to recognize the pattern. Karen's entitlement consistently led to reckless overreach, public humiliation, and legal jeopardy. Authorities arrived to investigate the fire, and Karen's previous claims of justification were immediately exposed as lies. Her attempt to manipulate perception, intimidate, and assert authority had backfired spectacularly. Every escalation she made, from sending phony officers to blocking paths, to now committing arson, was documented and verifiable. She had constructed a narrative of dominance that was unraveling spectacularly, leaving her credibility in ruins. By mid-afternoon, Karen's attempts at manipulation and control had completely failed. Her destruction had not intimidated or coerced. It had strengthened my position, reinforced legal protections, and exposed her as reckless and entitled. Every observer, from neighbors to authorities, saw clearly that her entitlement had collided with law, preparation, and strategy, and had lost. By evening, Karen was left isolated, frustrated, and publicly humiliated. Her repeated attempts to dominate, intimidate, and manipulate had produced nothing but evidence of recklessness and a trail of failed schemes. She had assumed she could bend reality through fear, aggression, and chaos, but she had collided with preparation, legal authority, and strategic foresight. Her audacity had created a permanent record of self-inflicted failure. The saga continued, but Karen's burning of my residence marked one of her most dramatic and spectacular failures yet. Her entitlement, unchecked and untempered by reason or law, had led to irreversible consequences. Every escalation she attempted now carried the weight of history, a consistent pattern of arrogance meeting strategy, law, and foresight, and losing spectacularly. Karen had overreached once again, and the consequences were undeniable, permanent, and catastrophic for her credibility, authority, and